Good afternoon, fellow Toastmasters. It's great to be here today, as always. And what a great role. Get to just ask any question I want without you knowing it's coming, and then watch you stand up, try to collect your thoughts, and make a good presentation. This is good stuff. And if any of you don't mind, I may choose to include you in this if you're open to that. If there's anybody who has an aversion to it, you can just say pass, and we'll move on to somebody else. But we try to pick people that didn't have a speaking role, of course. That's one of the things to do. And we'll use them first. So to get us started today, I would like to ask Zandra, in the grand scheme of things, what is your view on the importance of history and why?
The importance of history is an important topic because, as the saying goes, if you forget about history, you're condemned to relive it. And I find that the study of history has been very important to me. I love history. It was one of my favorite subjects in school, and I did very well in those classes. I find that the more I learn about history, the more I want to learn. And I think it's important for everyone to learn the history of their country and their family and the world, so that they can learn to do what they need to do in life and not be condemned to relive history that's already been done. Don't reinvent the wheel, just keep on going.
Today's theme, I know, is inspiration, and I think the reason I was led this way, I had an opportunity to listen to a university professor this weekend talk for a couple hours on our approach to history and how important it is. And I thought, history really does inspire me, and I think it has that capability of inspiring us as well as teaching us. So I'm glad you answered that way, and that's really interesting. It's interesting how it comes back to how we live. That's a neat thing. Today I would like, I'm sorry I forgot your name, even though you said, hi, Walt. I can't give you that back today because you don't have a name tag. Tony. Okay. Tony, I'd like to ask you if you could tell us about a historic event that took place between 1900 and 1980 and what you have learned about it and from it.
Historic event that took place between 1900 and
1980.
1980. Well, there's a myriad of historic events that, of course, took place between 1900 and 1980. And boy, I'm just gonna go with my parents getting married. They were high school sweethearts, and they had known each other since, I believe, 8th grade. So by the time they got married, that was approximately 6 years. And not knowing it at the time, they, looking back on it, I saw it as just this dream union of two people who found each other early in life and decided that getting married was the right thing. Not knowing at the time, they did have their ups and their downs. They weren't together all the time, and looking back, I myself am divorced, and looking back on it, I know, or understanding what I know now, that they did have times when they were married that they were at brief separations in their own experiences with each other. I was very young at the time, so it helps to know that my situation is not distinct unto its own. That they had their troubles. They were able to work it out. There are certain unforeseen circumstances that do contribute to anything. And then one thing I did discover, maybe 10 years ago, that they were married in January and I was born in June. So somewhere around November something happened. They're like, oh, maybe it's time to get married.
Thank you. Dale? Sandra made reference to this, but we've all heard the phrase, history repeats itself. Has that been true for you personally? And what are some steps you think we can take to avoid that?
Mr. Tabletop Mix Master, thank you so much for that question. And while, Sandra, I really enjoyed listening to your answer, I'm sorry to say I was much more intrigued by the question that you asked Tony, and I'd like to answer that question instead. And as a guest, I think I just will.
You may do that. Let me give you permission.
Thank you so much. Now, I would like to talk about an event in history that was not at all propitious. It was a very sad event. I believe that it happened in 1977, and it was when the IRA blew up the motorboat that was being run by Lord Louis Mountbatten. He was staying at his estate in Ireland, and as usual was out running his boat way too fast. They blew it up, and we lost one of the great people who was a member, who was part of history for the 20th century. He was the last viceroy of India, so he helped to turn India over to independence. He was a key person in managing the naval battles in World War II. He was a fierce defender of the British monarchy. He was the person, if you recall, Prince Charles had some terrible emotional letdown after his death and was seen talking to plants in the castle. He was the person that Prince Charles missed so much. So Lord Louis Mountbatten, he was a man of the 20th century. It was a sad day when the IRA caused his death. And isn't it sad that there are more bombings going on over there again today? Mr. Tabletop.
Thank you. We have a group time till 12:30, is that right? Okay. Prema, may I ask you a question today to speak to?
I'll try to answer, but my brain doesn't work that fast.
That's okay. I said your name at the very beginning to give you time to start going. So, what is one of your fondest or most significant childhood memories, and why?
Actually, I cannot remember anything right now. Sorry, I'll pass.
Okay. I do have one more question. I think, Planet, I would like to ask you, I know you're evaluating today, but I wanted to ask you this question because I thought of you when I fashioned it on the paper. It was this. If you could be any animal, what would it be and why?
If I could be any animal, I want to be a bird. You know, before you ask me that question, I have always thought about this. And the reason why I want to be a bird is because, first of all, I like to travel to different places. I would like to fly to the North Pole and see how cold it gets up there. And I would like to fly to the African countries and see how the rainforest exists and the different species that live in that area. That's one reason why I want to be a bird. The second reason is because I like to have the freedom to be able to go anywhere I want and see the planet in a bird's eye view. So that's the main reason. That's why I want to be a bird. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we have time for just one more. And I'm going to ask this one to our guest here in the back, I apologize.
John.
John. John, what is a quote, a saying, or a phrase that's meaningful to you, or that you